Atlas. A game studio that has held dominion over my life since 2012. I first started playing the Persona games back in 2012 when I got Persona 4 Golden for Christmas for my PlayStation Vita. That's right, I owned a Vita. And needless to say, it changed my life. I've been an avid Persona fan since. I've been playing every single one. 3, 4, 5... Wait a second. However, I want to discuss the brand new entry into Atlas's RPG pillar and my personal game of the year with you guys, Metaphor ReFantazio. Metaphor ReFantazio is the new JRPG produced by Studio Team Zero, directed by Katsura Hoshino, aka the daddy of Persona. This guy is basically the reason why Persona is the way it is. Starting at Atlas in 1994 as a game designer for Shin Megami Tensei If for the Super Famicom, his work continued through the years, directing and supervising multiple Shin Megami Tensei games from Nocturne to Devil Saga. This all led up to the eventual release of Persona 3, the little JRPG that put Atlas pretty much on the map. That's right, weebs. You can thank Mr. Katsura-san himself for helping homogenize the social link aspects in these games and help fill that empty void for thousands of gamers. So why does any of this information matter though? Because Metaphor ReFantazio truly feels like the next step in that Persona-style game and takes everything amazing about Persona 3 through 5 and puts it into a fully realized, fleshed-out fantasy world that has had me hooked from the opening cutscene. Metaphor starts out a bit unorthodox compared to its sister games. Persona has been known for its catchy, beautifully animated intros showcasing the cast of the game, the themes, and its setting. Meanwhile, Metaphor opens like this.
Your kingdom will perish alongside you.
Cool. So I should probably discuss the opening story and hook of this game. In the world of Uchronia, there are 8 tribes, all differentiated by different physical traits. Here you have the Rassants, the Elf people. And then you have the Clamar, the Horned people. You also have the Ujiv. They're my favorite. And you even got the Pupper tribe. So the gang's all here, y'all. Tribes all live in a bit of a caste system. Clamar's, for example, being the highest caste, that is the bloodline of the king. And that is where you, as the protagonist, comes in. You play as an Eldar, the one tribe that lacks any real defining physical characteristics and thus is shunned by the rest of the population. The opening mission being to help revive the prince and true heir to the throne to stop Count Luis, the main villain of the game. It's already off to a good start. I now want to discuss how overall this game handles its pacing in dungeons. Just like in Persona, there is a calendar system. All Persona games starting at 3 begin in the spring semester and usually end up running through January. Now, the calendar system lends itself well into the Persona series, allowing for the feeling of time passing and giving credibility to you connecting deeper with your social links over time. This, however, has kind of gotten Persona stuck in its ways. Whenever I play a new Persona, I know I'm going to be introduced as the transfer student, I'm going to meet a first couple of my wacky party members, and then I'm going to be thrown into a TV, a palace, probably into a Zeppelin in Persona 6 to awaken my Persona and start the game. Very formulaic that you can see repeating itself over the course of these games. Metaphor, however, while sharing a calendar system, changes it entirely thanks to probably my favorite aspect of the game, the Gauntlet Runner. Now, I just have to say, my favorite fantasy trope in any RPG game is unlocking the flying ship. You know what I'm talking about. Every RPG does it. You spend the first half running on foot to eventually upgrade to a horseback/chocobo to finally get full travel access on that bad boy. Metaphor follows this cliche, but subverts it in a way with the coolest freaking automotive design I've ever seen. The Gauntlet Runner. Gauntlet Runner is crazy. Sporting an almost Evangelion-like design with 2 giant legs that literally run across the land. And this allows for you to actually, while traveling on the map, just look out on your area on the deck and see you traveling. You feel that progression through the game. This was the first moment that made me realize that this is a true evolution in how Atlas is handling its world building. The Persona series is very heavily restricted to a Japanese high school setting, and as interesting as that is, the setting has begun to grow stale for me, as it limits itself to the environment of where that school is. Also, I'm 27. I'm out. I'm done. The town of Inaba in P4 and Tokyo in P5 are very well fleshed out. Inaba is probably one of my favorite places in a game ever. It's so cozy. However, you are limited to that town the entirety of the game. Metaphor, however, solves that problem by having you participate in a country-spanning competition to win the crown. You travel every inch of the continent in Metaphor, constantly seeing new vistas, towns, landmarks, everything that allows the player to feel they are experiencing a beautifully fleshed out world filled with social systems and character dynamics. One of my favorite aspects of the Gauntlet Runner is when traveling, you'll occasionally run into landmarks that your party will stop and see, and man, these landmarks build up the world so much more. It's almost Miyazakian in how they do it, creating these beautiful little vistas that have been marred by wars in the past and ancient magic. Not describing exactly what's happened, but showing you the aftermath of what happened, allowing you as the player to fill in those holes. A great example of show don't tell. As you visit town to town and have new objectives, the calendar system falls back into place as you usually have a time limit just like in Persona to complete a dungeon. The difference I mentioned in pacing earlier compared to the Persona series is how you're always on the move from one landmark to another, never stopping for too long in one place, so I never grew bored with the world throughout my journey. And of course, no globe-spanning journey is complete without its merry crew of cast members. I love the cast in Metaphor. No, truly, I think it's the best cast since Persona 4 and potentially even beating them out. I don't want to spoil too much of the cast, so we're going to focus on the first party member you meet in the game though. Leon Stroll da Halietis. Stroll is a Clamar nobility, his town having been ravaged by a monster attack in his youth. Now, nobility characters are pretty annoying most of the time, often harping too much on the characteristics of honor and nobility and how that makes them important. But Stroll? Nah, that's my dude. My boy gets it. His social link journey being focused entirely on what it means to be a good noble to both his people and the legacy of his name. You see him struggle with what is right as a man in his position. What would have his parents done and asked of him? And if it truly is doing right by his name and position. Stroll is what I would describe as the perfect best friend trope you see in these games. P4 has Yosuke, P5 has Ryuji. I guess P3 had Junpei. You don't really get best friend vibes with him. You really get that more in the Persona 3 Portable, where you play as the Femroute, where he friend zones you. I digress. Sorry, Junpei, but Stroll is now officially the man. Yeah, no, Leon Strauss has the best archetype intro in the game. Like, look at this.
You call this real? Leaders abandon their people and the innocent die by their scorn. If that's the real world, then it can die alongside you! My name is Leon Stroll de Halietis. My home and my family were taken from me. I am the last of my house. I am the last of my noble bloodline. And in the name of my people, I will strike you down where you stand!
Cool. Oh, yeah, archetypes. I guess it's time to discuss that now. This game is kinda hard, y'all. Atlus has held very true to their style of RPG battle mechanics since the Shin Megami Tensei series began. Persona gradually growing less difficult with additions such as the Once More and the many party abilities that have been added as seen in Persona 3 Reload and in Persona 5 Royale. No, seriously, try playing OG Persona 3 without being able to direct command party members. I still can't believe they thought that was a good idea. Metaphor, however, has done an excellent job in repackaging their combat system in a rejuvenating way for the company. In Metaphor, you are given as many moves as there are party members, and vice versa for enemies. If you have 4 party members, you get 4 moves, and instead of a once more mechanic when hitting a weakness/crit, you instead only lose half a move, and then move on to the next party member. This slight change allows for a lot more thought processes going into how you handle boss encounters, where it goes with buffs, which weaknesses to attack. There's also even synthesis moves where you can use 2 turns or up to 3 turns for super powerful moves that can do a lot more damage and also do debuffs. But that's just simply the active battles themselves. The gameplay system is truly fleshed out via archetypes. Archetypes are basically this universe's version of personas. While personas/demons usually take inspiration from direct mythical creatures/religious figures, archetypes are quite literally archetypes. The definition of archetype by Merriam-Webster is the original pattern or model of which all things of the same type are representations or copies. So quite literally, you are manifesting the powers of multiple different types of heroes or legends throughout human literature. Every hero in literature is usually shaped around an archetype. King Arthur is a knight. Robin Hood is a thief. There's even an archetype for fakers that are used as the debuff class in Metaphor, and faker being another archetype in human storytelling such as Tom Ripley and the talented Mr. Ripley. Something that speaks to me about the powers the characters use in Metaphor being tied to ideal themes of heroes rather than specific characters themselves like in Persona. It gives more of a feeling that they are fighting for more beyond just themselves and like their true selves, but fighting to be that archetype. The biggest difference between Metaphor and Persona and its combat though has to be that in Metaphor you can change every party member's archetype, where in Persona games only the main character has the ability to swap personas. A big problem I find in Persona games actually is how I end up sticking with a set party. So like in Persona 3, I really only used Yukari, Junpei, and Aigis because they do so much damage and they handle buffs, debuffs, and everything. Persona 4, Naoto, Yosuke, and Chie. Those are the only ones I would use. Persona 5 doesn't super count because Royal makes the game really easy. It's kind of too easy in my opinion. But the reason I only use those characters is because they had the best moves to use in big fights and it just didn't make sense. I would use the other characters as cannon fodder to get through the dungeon, honestly. Metaphor solves this problem by allowing any party member to use any archetype though, and buy and swap skills around using the Magla system. I even want to know how much of my in-game time, which was around 96 hours, were spent fiddling around doing different builds with different archetypes, and to find which best archetype route to go down with each character. Metaphor being the first Alice game where I really used every single party member as soon as I had them all unlocked. And the final boss had me switching out party members so everyone had to fight him, and just so I'd use all my resources. And I don't know, that metatextual feeling of having the whole team fight instead of just half the team fight the final baddie left my heart feeling very warm. Before I go into my final topic, I do want to say thank you so much for watching. This is my first review that I'm kind of writing and typing up on a bit of a manic whim. I just felt a strong urge to make it, and I am hoping to continue making more and improving my craft. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope it convinced you to play the game or you enjoyed it. I want to discuss one final aspect of Metaphor that I think makes it so important. Count Luis. Count Luis is probably one of the most interesting antagonists in an Atlas title. In Persona 3 through 5, you aren't given this immediate true villain. You usually don't know who the main threat is until the end of the game, such as the case with P4 and P5. Count Luis, though, is different. Introduced immediately in the opening cutscene, his first words to the audience is,
"A land grotesque as its people."
Count Luis clearly takes inspiration from Kentaro Miura's masterpiece Berserk and the character Griffith. Two men who rise to fame through military might, adorning an almost angelic-like appearance, and would also never relinquish their dream, no matter the cost. Luis, however, is very upfront. He has no eclipse moment to speak of. You know from the moment he's on screen how this man views the world and what he would do if given the power to change it. Luis fascinates me because I've been in a spot where I agreed with Luis. The world is full of injustices. Wrongs that are committed and never see the light of day. Innocent people suffering for no better reason than that's life. And I can understand wanting to follow someone who would look you in the eye and say, with his whole heart and chest, "Follow me and I will fix this broken world." I've had my world shattered, I've had my beliefs tested, and I've had people hurt me before. But that's why I find this game so important. Because despite those moments where Luis's words rung true to me, it was the characters and the journey along the way that helped remind me how none of us gets through this world alone. The people who are here on this journey through life are here to help us grow, to help us support each other, and to help us understand what it means to even be alive. 2 years ago, I started a Twitch channel. In those 2 years, I've met so many incredible, wonderful people. I've made amazing friends. I have made relationships that have helped me change and grow to become a better person. And that's why Metaphor really, really spoke to me. Because it was the journey of the game, and it's the journey that really makes us who we are. And I'm happy to be on here with it, and I'm so happy I got to go through the journey of Metaphor. And that's why I'm giving Metaphor a 10 out of 10, and I'm also giving it my game of the year. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this review, I'm really hoping to make some more. It's kind of weird to say. It would mean a lot if you would subscribe and stick around for other. I also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/meditate. It would mean the world if you wanted to hang out live, and we play tons of games, a lot of hitless runs. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope to make another one soon, and I'll see you next time.